You want to listen to a podcast?
By who?
Georgia GOP Congressman Doug Collins.
How is it?
The greatest thing I have ever heard in my whole life.
I could not believe my ears.
In this house, wherever the rules are disregarded, chaos and mob rule. It has been said today, where is bravery? I'll tell you where bravery is found and courage is found. It's found in this minority who has lived through the last year of nothing but rules being broken, people being put down, questions not being answered. And this majority say, be damned with anything else. We're going to impeach and do whatever we want to do. Why? Because we won an election. I guarantee you, one day you'll be back in the minority and it ain't gonna be that fun. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Wednesday on the Doug Collins Podcast. Glad to have you with us. It's getting hot, it's getting summer, it's getting great. I hope you're all out and visiting and enjoying the summertime as we go along. Maybe send us a picture out. Send James and I a picture. Go to the DougCollinsPodcast.com, hit the email button. Send us a picture from where you're listening to the Doug Collins Podcast. Maybe on your trips, maybe on your cruises or wherever, maybe just sitting in the backyard, or maybe it's in the gym. Send us those pictures. We'd love to them. If you send us your picture of where you're watching the Doug Collins Podcast from, we'll post it out on my social media at Rep Doug Collins, Doug Collins GA on Instagram. I'd love to have y'all participating in where you're listening to the Doug Collins Podcast this summer. Just a minute, we're going to start a new series called I've Learned That. I'm going to kick it off, and I'm going to do a few of the I've Learned That scenarios, and then we're going to have a lot of friends coming in, hopefully over the next few weeks, ranging from, our good friend Matt Whitaker, Michelle Tafoya, probably Kevin Walling, even some folks, Terry Rogers, some others that we have. Want you to be a part. We're going to take some of these I've learned advices, talk about how we can apply them to your life, and really the lessons learned around them as we go. So it's going to be a fun summer series, maybe even stretch in to a little bit of the fall. As we go, again, looking ahead as well, Chan Gailey will be coming up with us in the next few weeks. We'll also do some more with Michael Waddell. Our hunting season will be just around the corner, folks. July, you're 2 months away from elk season. You're 2.5 months away from bow season in the South for deer. Got lots coming up, bear season. So a lot of stuff we're going to be dealing with as we go forward. But just a great way to kick off summer. Just in a minute, I'm going to kick off the new series called I've Learned That, here on the Doug Collins Podcast. Hey, everybody, you know about Legacy Precious Metals. Legacy Precious Metals, you hear from them. We talk once a month. We talk about Legacy Precious Metals, talking about precious metals being part of your portfolio, how they're your navigator. Well, now they're not only navigating in a new way, they're actually giving you a new way to buy gold and silver. In fact, Legacy Precious Metals has developed a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in real gold and silver online. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped to your door. I'm more of a ship to my door kind of person. I enjoy having them with me, but they can do it either way, and you can now do it online. It gives you real access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time, anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar. This puts you in complete control of your money. This platform is free to sign up for. Just visit LegacyPMInvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and is against a volatile stock market. A true diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but a different asset class. This platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Remember, do as I have done. Go to LegacyPMInvestments.com and get started today. And now you've got a new tool to help you along in your investments. Hey folks, MyPillow is excited to bring to you their biggest bedding sale ever. For a limited time, you're going to get the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, a set of pillowcases for only $9.98, and rejuvenate your bed with a MyPillow mattress topper for as low as $99.99. $99.99. Get a mattress pillow topper. Look, they come in all sizes. They got all kinds of stuff, blankets. They've got duvets. They got quilts. They got comforters. They got body pillows. They got bolster pillows. They got all that big discounts. And also, they're extending their money-back guarantee for Christmas until March 1, 2023, making them the perfect gift for your friends, your family, and for everyone you know. Folks, and just from a personal note here, I have the Giza Dream Sheets. They're on my bed right now. I slept on them last night. Some of the best sheets that we and Lisa and I have ever owned. They are worth, at this price, they're a steal. My wife and I have bought bed sheets, linens at much higher cost. It's supposedly much higher quality. These from MyPillow are at the highest of quality, and at a price like this, you can't beat it. So go now to MyPillow.com, use promo code Collins, COLLINS, or call 1-800-986-3994 and you'll get huge discounts on all the MyPillow bedding products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets for as low as $29.98, and get all your shopping done while qualities last. And remember, put in that promo code Collins for these discounts. All right. We're starting out now on the I've Learned That. Where this series came to me, and I found, how many of you go through the boxes of stuff that you've put up? I would encourage you this. Every so often, and probably not as often as we should, my bride and I, Lisa, will clean up stuff. We've packed stuff away. We sort of, boxed it up, hoarded it away. Things get messy. And then, we get to a certain point where, okay, I've had all I can take. We got to straighten this up. Well, one of that comes, and as our kids are growing up, and both of our boys are basically moved on and moved out, and we had boxes, we had stuff. I mean, just from, all kinds of things in our garages, in our workrooms. And so we decided we were going to get it all organized. And as we did, we began to find stuff that was from our last move from house. I mean, stuff that had been boxed up for years. And in one of those boxes, I found a list of stuff that I had kept probably going on a good 30 years. And if you're watching this on video, you can see it. I've got it up here, and it's sort of hard to see in the light, but you can see it's just all typed out. And it says, I've learned that at the top. I've learned that in dots. And so what it is, and if you read through these, and we got a lot of them, and this is where we're going to get in friends to help us, but I'm going to start us off today. They're sort of just mini life lessons. They're just life lessons, things that I've learned over time that sometimes you may overlook, you may not think about, but as you go forward in life, you say, wow, that's really amazing. Because the truisms of when you're younger, as you get older, looking in that rearview mirror sometimes is a lot clearer picture than when you're in the moment. So we're going to use some of these maybe to help you. If you're younger, you can use these to say, hey, I want to avoid this. If you're a little bit older like I am, maybe you can use it back to help somebody in your life as you go. So let's talk about this. Some of these I've learned that. The first thing on here I want to talk about today is I have learned that either you control your attitude or it controls you. Wow. We know this one. We've heard this one. People have talked about this one. We have been given advice about this one forever. Our attitude. I'm going to take it even a step further, is either you control your tongue or it will control you. Same difference. Attitude here. Why is this important? I hear people all the time say, I'm not a morning person. Okay, I get it. That you say, okay, I don't like getting up. I'd rather sleep. I stayed up too late. I'm tired in the morning. But you don't have to be a pain in the butt to everybody you meet just because you're, quote, not a morning person. You know what? You're choosing the attitude that you have in the morning. Now, I'm going to reverse it for those of us who are morning people and, we're not evening people. Well, we're making that decision as well. But you're controlling how you react to it. Most of the world does have to get up in the morning. Most of the world does have to get going in the morning. You may not want to take on big things in the morning, but your attitude and just simply blowing it off is, I'm not a morning person. I can't help it. Yeah, you can. Or an evening person. Come home and I'm not going to interact with people. Don't talk to me after work. That's your attitude. You have every ability to control that. And if you don't, there's plenty of people that can help you find out ways that you can control it. I hear people all the time, well, I'm just grumpy. Or I'm just, I'm this or I'm that, or that's my attitude. Don't bother me. Folks, you can control that. And if you can't control it, that's a sign of a deeper issue and a deeper problem to start with, because your attitude determines not only yourself, but those around you. If you have an attitude that you can't control, then really one of the first, they always talk about the canary in the coal mine, the old canary. If the air was good, they drop a canary in a cage into the coal mine, and if the canary died, of course, the air wasn't good. If the canary was fine, then it was fine. The good way to look at your attitude is the people around you. If people avoid you at certain times, or they avoid you altogether, if they are careful about what they say, they don't bring certain things to you, then that's a good indicator that your attitude or what you're putting out and giving off to them in life is turning them off. Now, I'm not saying you're to please everybody. In fact, don't please everybody. You can't. And if you are trying to please everybody, you will please nobody. But your attitude gives you the opportunity. If you go into things and say, look, I may not want to do this, but I'm going to do it and I'm going to make the best of it. That's an attitude that says, okay, this may be something in my workplace or my family that, look, I'd rather much be doing something else, but I'm going to do it. I'll do the best I can. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, who knows? How many of you have ever started off on something you really didn't want to do? I mean, you may have even griped and moaned and complained. And then all of a sudden you get into it and you say, wow, I'm really glad I did this. Attitude. I mean, it being open to ideas, being open to new things. You don't know everything. I mean, I know that may have come as a shock for some of you listening to this podcast, but you don't know everything. And if we treat the world as if we do, then we miss out on so many opportunities in life to realize what we can learn and what we can do. So attitude, I think really one of the best ones to start off here in this cycle is that your attitude, you can control it. It is, or it's going to control you. And if you allow yourself to be negative, if you allow yourself to be the Debbie Downer of the party, so to speak, if you always allow yourself to be the one that is always negative, always the one questioning, always the one griping, then you will eventually turn yourself into that person. Nothing is ever good enough. Everything is something to gripe about. And you will be somebody people don't want to be around. And the reality is you don't want to be around yourself. Because nobody likes to be around somebody who's just constantly griping and complaining and criticizing. Now, on the other extent, nobody also wants to be around somebody who's just Pollyanna happy all the time and without taking things seriously. Again, attitude is about control. It's about controlling what you think, how you act, and how you react to those around you. So the first one of I've learned that, and I think it's a pretty good one, is I've learned that either you control your attitude or it controls you. Here is something that is in politics, because we do a lot of political stuff on the show, and I hear a lot of people saying, I'll never like so-and-so, or I mean, when I'm one of my most often asked questions when I was outside of Congress, when I was in Congress and now outside of Congress is, how do you get along with fill in the blank, whoever their worst member in life is at this time? And Nancy Pelosi, AOC from a conservative perspective, or if you were a liberal, how do you, how they ask, their members, how do you get along with Kevin McCarthy or Lauren Boebert or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Chris Roy, whoever, Chip Roy, whoever they want to talk about. It's always the ones that they don't like. Well, here's one of the, I've learned it in politics and in life that I think we need to take to heart. It says, I've learned that sometimes the people you expect to kick you when you're down will be the ones to help you get back up. Let me say that again. I've learned that sometimes the people you expect to kick you when you're down will be the ones to help you get back up. When we make decisions about people, many of us do this within the first, if you look at some of the social scientists, we do this, depending on what study you want to look at, we do it within the first 5 to 10 seconds to the first minute, however you want to look at it. And we determine that they don't like us or we don't like them. We turn off the possibility that our impression could be wrong. And I wonder how many times in life I've looked back on it, people that I thought were not friends, so to speak, ended up being ones who would come around and help you when you were down yourself or things weren't going right. And what happens is our impressions of others is made on the outside disagreements many times of our own lives. If we disagree with each other, how could that person help me? If I don't think that their view is right, how can I can believe that they would want to help me? And it goes back to a situation that I think many of us need to understand is sometimes our impressions are wrong, especially if we don't attempt to see that. And sometimes just the act of disagreement between people actually form a bond that is bigger than we actually understand, because it's okay to disagree if you're not doing so in a disagreeable fashion. In fact, there's actually mutual respect. I've got a lot of people that I disagree with vehemently on policy and politics, however you want to, the classify, but yet I respect them as people and I respect them as their positions because they're honest and they're consistent with those. What is hard for me to take is someone who's inconsistent, someone who panders, someone who just simply says what everybody wants to hear, whether they believe it or not. It's those people, to me, you can't trust, because they'll tell you whatever you want to hear, but and especially in politics, they'll tell you what bills they're going to never vote for. They'll tell you whether they have actually understood the bill or not, tried to make it better or worse. They don't, but they just say, look, I'm not even going to touch that. It's the people who have typically solid views, which they can back up, that we may disagree with. And when they encounter someone of the same quality, even though we may disagree, they're the ones that could be around to help you because they know who you are. Now, does it happen all the time? No. And unfortunately, in this world, we're getting more and more times when people are much rather, I'll kick them when they're down, I'll keep them when they're down, that because if I get rid of them, then that's one less competitor that I have in the marketplace of ideas. And this doesn't have to be a friend. I've had experiences, and without naming the names, experiences of people in my life who have came around and helped me in spite of the situation that I was in, or even in a good situation, helped me learn a lesson. I'll use an example. Years ago, when I first got into politics, I had supported a candidate who ended up being the winner. And it had been a hard-fought primary contest, and I went to the next, a meeting later, and I was given an opportunity to say a few words, and I thanked everybody who voted for us. Didn't say anything about anybody else. The person that was working on one of the other campaigns, who was a little bit older, had been around the block many times, got up and said, well, I appreciate the enthusiasm Mr. Collins has. I appreciate his, congratulations on the victory that they had. But I do want to remind him that there's a lot of others who worked just as hard for others who didn't win. And it's now time for us all to come together. And I'd hope he would be open to that. I learned a large lesson. And that is that you may disagree, but at the end of the day, if you're all trying to run toward the same goal, then you need to bring unity together, especially in politics. It taught me a large lesson. This was a man who could have done so in a way of embarrassing me. He could have talked about, Doug is being childish, and why didn't you acknowledge us? But he chose to do it in a way, instead of kicking me or maybe taking my moment away, he added to the moment and added to me. So as you look at these possibilities of what we're talking about in this series, lessons that I've learned that sometimes the people you expect to kick you when you're down, sometimes could kick you when you're up, will be the ones to help you get back up. And this is so much that we have to learn that we are like, and I hope you will learn this in your lifetime, that you're to be a river, not a lake. Let me explain that. You're to be a river in the sense that your life flows and continually flows, and what you've learned, you pick up, and just like a river picks up sediment at the top of the lake, a river, it puts it out in the bed going down. Things move in a lake, in a river, and as opposed to a lake that is stagnant and everything is kept to itself. In our life, we go through experiences, we go through good times, bad times, and everywhere in between. And our job is to go and help others in those similar situations. We have been given the circumstances. Scripture teaches us that we've given our circumstances not to hold them. We're given blessings not to hold, but to share. In other words, to be a part of those around us. So for those of us who have experienced grief, we have a unique ability to go and share our feelings and comfort those who are going through grief. For those of us like Lisa and I, and everybody knows about our daughter Jordan, we have Jordan who has spina bifida. We now can relate to families who have a child who has needs and is in a wheelchair and has trouble, getting around. Why? Because we've been there. And in our job is to go and help others who've been or are now in similar circumstances because we have been there for. Life is like being a navigator. And, this is, I've said this before about, one of our sponsors here, Legacy Precious Metals. I mean, they're navigators. They help you find and help you make good choices about your investment needs. Same thing would be true in life. You need to be out there to help others as they go through. So again, I've learned that sometimes the people you expect to kick you when you're down will be the ones to help you back up. Next one this morning we're going to talk about here on the podcast is I've learned that the paradigm we live in is not all that is offered to us. This one is an important one. Many of you have experienced at some point in life, maybe you're experiencing now, maybe you experienced it later in life. You believe that what you see the world as is all that the world can offer. And, for example, growing up, 200 years ago, if your father was a blacksmith, guess what? You probably were going to be a blacksmith. If your father was a lawyer, you may be a lawyer. If your father was a farmer, you're going to be a farmer. This is, just that paradigm in which you grew up in. I've never lived, I don't think the world has ever seen a time in which the paradigm of life for people is so varied that you're not stuck into a one size fits all. You have to do this because this is the way the world sees you, or this is the way you see the world. There are other opportunities out there. And really the greatest growth, the greatest motivations, the greatest times in our life is that when we break out of the paradigm that we see ourselves in, or we've allowed others to build around us. And this is the biggest fear. Some of you listening to this program today have allowed your worldview to be limited by someone else who built the paradigm of how you see the world without you ever building it yourself. They've told you that the world is cruel. They've told you you can't do something. They've told you that this is wrong, this is right. They've built this. You don't have the skills. You can't go do this. You can't accomplish that. You've allowed them to build the paradigm of your life. You've allowed them to see the prism in which you see everything else and never took the time to see it for yourself. And sometimes when you break out of that paradigm, when you break out of what others have told you what you can be, imagine what you can become. Michael Jordan was told in middle school he basically couldn't play basketball and went on to be the greatest basketball player, arguably, that ever played the game. The world is filled with stories. I mean, even Einstein, you thought about was not intelligent enough. I mean, you hear these stories all the time. And what it is simply breaking out of the paradigm of life in which you're in and taking that paradigm of life and moving it into another realm, into another existence and say, look, I'm not what others think. I'm not what I believe. I believe I can become what God has intended me to become. And sometimes that may be changes in life. That may be at one stage of your life, you're doing one thing. At another stage in your life, you're doing something else. And then you may retire and do something all completely together. But if you simply let the paradigm of life and your way you see life limit what you can do, you will run the risk of never being all that you could be. Now, it takes a long time to learn that. Maybe you're coming through high school, college. Maybe you're a teenager. You're still in high school, and you're going to be this. You're going to be that. Maybe not. Listen to that inner voice. God did not place in you the gift of life and then leave you. God is there. God has a plan for you, and you need to understand that. But the question is sometimes you have to go and find the plan. You have to see what your giftedness is. Find the way you were bent, as Scripture says. What's that thing that gets you really passionate? And sometimes in life, it'll be different. It's different stages in your life. It's going to be different. But don't let yourself get so boxed in that you can't do other things, that God can't use you in bigger ways. And definitely do not let others set the paradigm for your life. Do not let others say, this is all you can be. This is all you can become. This is all you can ever do. Don't ever, ever, never, ever do that. Because if you do, you're living somebody else's life and not your own. Enough said. Last one for the day. I've learned that money is a lousy way of keeping score. Now, for all of us on this podcast, and James and I may talk about this on a Friday's Finest. And look, the old song, Chris Jansen wrote a song a number of years ago. And this sort of flows into the last one of the paradigm life. Jansen was a songwriter, had been trying to break through in Nashville for years. And he wrote a song called It Can Buy Me a Boat. And it never could get picked up. Nobody was picking it up. And then his wife encouraged him to send it in one more time. And it got played on satellite radio, Sirius radio. It got picked up, and people started to like it. And it said, money may not buy me happiness, but it can buy me a boat. Well, one, in that case, he was about to give up of his dream of being a songwriter and a musician and an artist, and his wife continually prodded him along to get that song in. Bobby Bones picked it up and made Chris Janson a star in many ways because he was willing to play the song. Now, just think about it. What if Chris had said, no, I'm not going to send it in? And then his wife, I think, actually sent it in for him, broke the paradigm. He's now, over the last few years, had, sold lots of music, been on tour, made a lot of money. But just think if they had both said, well, yep, you're right, we give up, where he would be instead of busting that paradigm. But then also the funny part about this song is that, money may not have happiness, but it can buy me a boat. It can buy me things that I like. But if you live your life believing that money is the thing that determines have you made it in life, then I think you're probably missing the free things in life. Friendship, family, ideas, passion. Money will determine many things in life, but money cannot determine happiness. Money cannot determine, you can buy things that, quote, make you happy. But if inherently, I've known a lot of people who have a lot of money and they're miserable. Not because that they don't have money, not because they can't go on vacation, not because they can't buy things, not because they don't have a nice car or whatever, but they don't have the passion in their life. They don't have something that they get up every morning for and live for. That keeps them up at night, gets them ready to go the next day. They don't have those issues in their life. So, if you're using money as your only real motivator here, and you're judging score of life on who has things, who doesn't have things, and you're using money as that determinant, then you're really going to have more of a problem than it's worth, because money is only the enhancer of whatever you're doing. If you have money and you want to do something and you have a passion in your life, then it will allow you to fulfill that passion. If you're have no money, but you still have passion and you're still doing things that you like, you get up every morning. Look, money may not be there, but money's not going to determine your happiness. You can have that fulfillment and happiness in the score of life, if you would, simply because you're doing something that you believe in and that you have been, that fulfills your life. At the end of the day, we all will leave this life, barring the Lord coming again. And if he does, then some of us will be captured up in the sky as itself. But if you pass from this life, the one thing that is assured is you can't take this life with you. You have one opportunity, and you need to make the most of it. One, you need to understand God's purpose for your life and accept his vision for what he made you. But then you have to actually act upon it. And quit judging yourself by the attitude of others, or attitude you have, or the money you have or you don't have, or the friends that you thought you had, or the friends you don't think you had, or the paradigm that you've built and said, well, I can be nothing but a loser. No, you can't. And your attitude has just assured you of that. But when you understand that money is nice, and believe me, all of us would have money. How many of you have ever looked at the billboards going down across the country and they see the Mega Millions, the Powerball, $350 million, $600 million, whatever, and all of us have had that moment of, what would we do if we had that money? Well, that's okay. But if that's all that ever had to make you believe that you're worth something, or that that's the score that you need to keep, then money will disappoint you time and time and time again. Because it can only enhance what you already are, or detract from who you already are. And yes, I said money can detract, because if you try to fulfill your desires and wishes with money and not with work and passion and character and those things, it will never fill that gap. So these are life lessons that are things that I've learned. I'm looking forward over the next few weeks and few months to actually have other friends come in, and we're going to talk about these just like I've talked about them. I'd love to get their perspectives. We've got plenty of them to talk about. These are the kind of things that you can share. And if you would do that for me, I'd appreciate you go to the DougCollinsPodcast.com, the DougCollinsPodcast.com. Hit the email button, send the email saying, hey, Doug, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I like. This is something. Hey, why don't you pick up this? Why don't you do an episode? Why this goes on in Congress? What is happening here? Love to get your input. And also, if you would, hit subscribe button so that you get these dropped into your podcast library every time we drop them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And also share this. Share the link to somebody who may need to hear what we talked about today. Love to have your input. Love to have you sharing. Love to be you being a part of our podcast and this reach out that we have. So until next time, next time actually we'll be with James on Friday's Finest. Looking forward to it this week. Gonna have a good one. It's been 2 weeks since we've had one, so golly, the stories are piled up. So we're looking forward to being with you again on Friday for James and I as we get ready for the 4th of July weekend. Friday's Finest will be a amazing show. Don't want you to miss it. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.